place the stars into motion. You called to the light and it came into place. Every detail of our beings you created. Like a good father, you will take care. Oh, you hold my being. You wrap yourself around every detail of my life. You placed everything into motion. And all I have to do is stand in the palm of your hand. 'Cause I mean everything to you. I mean everything to you. You place the stars into motion. You called to the light and it came into place. Every detail of our beings you created. Like a good father, you will take care. Oh, you hold my being. You wrap yourself around every detail of my life. You placed everything into motion. And all I have to do is stand in the palm of your hand. 'Cause I mean everything to you. I mean everything to you.
Hey y'all, Tressy has a new home. Welcome. Come on in. Hey, I have been thinking about you for days. It's like I dream about you. I dream I'm talking to you. I do this whole big long thing and I'm bawling. And then I wake up and I didn't write it down and I'm going, what did I say? So I hope it comes out tonight like I received it. I think you better get some Kleenex. All right. So, boy, Jay, it looks like I'm on twice. I don't know. I'm in front of my big computer, and so everything's changed. All right. All right. So, the first thing I want to talk to you about is let's see. I had Karen, I had not Karen, I had somebody, You got to understand, we're all trying to get these fictitious names behind the scenes so nobody is spotlighted. All right. So I think her name is Angel, prepared all of this for me. Okay. All right. So the stats of your acts that you did, all right, for this week. All right. So we stopped one car repossession or paid a loan. It doesn't really tell me that which it was. We stopped one eviction. There was a miscellaneous thing that happened, and I don't know what that was. We paid 3 utilities, possibly shut off warnings, because that's what we do. We stop the bleeding. One storage unit we saved from being auctioned, and you already know we bought a washer for a lady. And if you knew her situation, you'd be so proud that you did that. The pain that she lives in, there's no way she could have existed without a washer. She could not wring out her clothes with her hands. So, man, that makes me so happy. All right. And then we resolved via negotiations 8 foreclosures. All right. So, and I don't know what that means. And so we're going to have one of our negotiators come on. I call her Karen the Kraken. She doesn't know it. All right. So, and we actually did completely stop a foreclosure. So we helped with, and this is all in negotiation. So I don't understand what this part of it means. I'm going to put this in the house so you can see it. But one debt relief and one rent payment through negotiation. And so Karen is going to come and tell us what all of that means. All right, come on in, Karen.
Hi, everybody. Great to be here. You can hear me, right, Tress?
Yep.
Okay, great. Yeah, it's been a really great week. I've been able to talk to so many different people that have various different situations at various degrees. So I talk to them, and then we step through the process, where it starts, where to go next, and sort of a little bit of the short road ahead. But we keep in contact, and so I will take you through the folks that we've helped. So our first foreclosure possibility was behind a couple of payments, a couple of months, and was the bank was trying to talk to them about a short sale. We resolved it through just looking at how many payments she was behind, but that she got some help. Somebody moved in with her. We walked in and said that she talked about some of the typical paperwork she gets, but nothing threatening at the time. I told her to sit tight and that the money would probably work out for itself since she wasn't that far behind. So we are just looking and watching and making sure that this works out for her. And if there's some renegotiation, we'll talk about it. But at that point, we didn't need any money for her. The next one that I got was they had just received the documentation, and I walked her through the steps of the initial process in which the banks start with. So I told her to really hang on to things over the next week or so. Told her what's really kind of ahead in the short term, but we're watching it right now, so we didn't really need to do anything at that point. We had a foreclosure, kind of an interesting situation where they had some serious back payment based on some COVID relief they received. But in the process in talking to this person, there wasn't really anything moving forward that was certified or verified from the bank that brought them to a place where they could actually bill him or charge him or ask him to renegotiate his loan. So we aren't doing anything at this point because he hasn't any written documentation or anything signed by the bank. And without that, there's no need to panic. So we're kind of working through the process there. We've got another one that, let's see, where was this one? We're waiting for this person to write the summary of information. She had a very unique circumstance, something that really shouldn't have been called into play with regards to even saving or even bringing this person into the fold of wanting to renegotiate or redo her loan. So we are asking for very detailed documentation, where the funds came from and how to proceed, but everything has to be documented, emailed, and verified. So that is in progress. Nothing yet as of yet. I had one woman who was having to move out of her house, couldn't find an apartment. They wanted too much money. Somehow during the process, one of her friends stepped up, asked her to come and stay with her for a little while. She was able to use whatever money she had left to rent a storage unit and to move all her belongings into that. She had a big piano, so she said, "I really need something." So everything there, we just moved forward. It was resolved on time. She needed to be out in 3 days, and that solidified actually yesterday. I have somebody that was behind two payments, and the bank led him to believe that if he paid one more payment, that they had a couple options that they would be able to present to him. I told him no, that he needed to talk to them and get it in writing, because once you pay that payment, the options change. So they wouldn't do it. He talked to 3 different people, and they wouldn't put anything in writing. Nothing. So I discouraged him from doing that. I told him to take a step back. I talked to him today. We're looking to formulate a summary document with some common law language that talks about how these folks use scripted tactics, and we're going to use our own common law tactics to get back at them to make sure that we're not moving forward until things are certified. So we're in progress of doing that. And then my last one here, I have 2 additional ones, but they're early in the process. But I have one additional one that was early on in the process. They wanted a couple of payments, but I recommended to hold off a couple more days before we did anything, just because there was no real paperwork. It was just a phone call. So the phone calls don't scare me as much as some of the paperwork that, they're around. They're in 3 or 4 rounds of paperwork. But again, all they do is send paperwork. There's no email verification. There's no communication whatsoever from them. And they don't want, it's all one-sided. So we're in good standing with all of these. They just have different stages and timeframes, but we're working on it.
Awesome. Do we have any that were encouraged to do chapter 13?
I've told all of them that is a goal. There's the one with the COVID. I just don't think he's ready to do that. I think that if I advised him that because of all the payments that were in arrears, they actually have to give him bona fide accounting that's verifiable. You can't ask somebody to owe something if they can't verify what they think they owe them. So those are the kinds of things. You can't just send paperwork and let's redo the loan without telling them, what do you really owe? How long have these people been in their house? 15, 16, 20 years? I think they've already paid for that. So you have to challenge them back. And they won't, they don't like the challenge, but we're forcing the hand. And again, common law language, common law paperwork, certifiable, sending snail mail, sending FedEx. But we're also trying tactics of our own at going at a higher level. So we're just beating them at their own game.
Oh man, I love it.
So we're good standing, and it just gives opportunity for us to really work through the process, because people don't really understand what to do. But it gives the other folks that need help right away to get help right away. So we're just walking through it and keeping in touch, communications, everything. So everyone's happy about it. So we're good.
That is so awesome. I mean, I love it. I just feel like you guys are like, boom, 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 boom. You don't know who you're dealing with here. We're not.
They sure don't. Well, one of the gentlemen that I talked to today, He said he called 3 different people. They gave him different options, but they wouldn't email him. They wouldn't confirm anything in writing. So, and if you throw one payment over the fence, it doesn't mean they're going to do any. They're just going to change their minds and do something else.
Yeah.
No, they have their own scripts.
Say you misunderstood or whatever.
Exactly. That's exactly what they say, Tressy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
man, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It just makes me so happy. And I'll tell you what, Beth sings the praises of the Negotiators all the time. Angel does most of the work, but I'm telling you, Angel, she just keeps telling me, oh my gosh, they're knocking out of the park. Oh my gosh. Yeah, they're superheroes.
Angel does a great job in just keeping us sane and just making sure we get all the right information together. She does a great job. We talk every day, but you know, I love working with her, and she knows what she's doing. So I appreciate her help.
Oh man, thank you so much. And thank you to all the other negotiators. You guys rock. I mean, you know, we've got our paralegal Jean, who's you know, pushing the envelope over there, and so many, just the most beautiful people. We have an attorney on our squad, and just Kelly. Oh, beautiful people. We love you guys so much. I might have missed some of you, but that's only because I'm tired. So it's not that you're not appreciated.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Karen.
Oh, you're so very welcome.
All right. And let's give a big shout out to Jay for that beautiful video. I mean, he's cranking them out. My goodness, just awesome stuff. I love working with him. Love working with him. All right. So I had a call and I got some messages. And so they were talking about you as well as me. And so it goes right along with everything I was speaking to you about in my sleep. All right, so I want to take you on a trip tonight into the real world. And I'm actually going to put music on because it inspires me. It unlocks something that takes me higher. All right. So if you have an essential oil, I should have given you some heads up on this. You're going to want to inhale that and then get your Kleenex and close your eyes if you want. And we're going to go for a ride. So I want you to picture with me. The war is over. We finally made it. We are ecstatic. We are celebrating. We are crying. We are laughing. And we are dancing. And we are making plans to party at our Healing Center Ranch. And we've got negotiators who are helping us make all the plans. So it actually is doable. It's workable. And we're doing a caravan, just like the truckers did, where they went across country and they showed their colors, and the tractors in the Netherlands when the farmers went on a journey to make a point, is to speak. This is a statement of joy. And you're traveling with caravans, with RVs, pulling behind your new car. And for those who are older and you just don't feel like buying one, we got you covered. You just let us know in advance that you're coming, and we'll take care of you. You're bringing food, you're going to tailgate, have a tailgate party, and we're going to feast together and walk down rows and rows and rows of tailgates with food and munch and talk and hug and say, oh, I remember you. I remember your online name. And it's you. Oh my gosh. And we're making best friends. And then we have a concert and a dance. And when you get there, I'm going to look you in the eyes. And I will know it's you. Because the eyes are the gateway of the soul. And I have the ability to read the eyes. I know what the eyes say, what the story is. I can see the pain. Sometimes I even know what kind of pain. I also know how you resolved it, or if you did. But this group are of the group of the resolvers. I know that because you wouldn't be here if you weren't. And when I see you, I will know you because we already met. I know who you are. You are a spirit, and I am a spirit, and we have already met. And so when I see you, I will know you just by looking in your eyes. And I had a dream about you, and I already told you the dream on the Tressy Trek house, but at that time I didn't realize it was you. But it was. And there were, if you remember, in the sky, there were like brown waves or billowing smoke. I don't know what it was, but there were also symbols made out of the brown smoke. And immediately I knew the cabal had been destroyed. And we were all looking up, the entire world. There wasn't a person that didn't look up into the sky because it was pronounced. And some people didn't understand what was happening. But everyone who was living in the real world and understood what had taken place, lived in the spirit realm, began with wide eyes of wonder to look around to see if they could meet anyone else who they could tell had been awakened. And with wide eyes and open mouth, we found each other. And the joy at finding family was undescribable. And I began to say, it's happening. It's happening. And then everybody else began saying it. And the whole earth was saying it. This is what it's going to be like. but we knew each other when we saw each other, because behind these eyes is the spirit being. And you can recognize it at first glance. And as I was getting this whole concept of you coming to the ranch and the joy on steroids, I began to weep, and I realized, that teaching that I was offering, healing for family rejection. I did a whole class for my original tribe. They were called the superheroes. And if you're listening, I love you. You are still my family. Even though we don't meet together one-on-one like we used to on Zoom, I never forget you. I never stop thinking about you, because you have become our prayer force, because you got trained in advance in order to serve on the front lines. Thank you. I spoke this message to you first. And now look, thousands of people are hearing, are finding out who they are, where they live, and what they are. But I'm going to take this message further than I did that day in 2022. My friend Angel gave me a forward from someone on social media. And this is by Herbert Donnet Wren. He describes you, us. You won't see us on television. You won't read about us in the newspapers. Well, maybe you will. You might, you just might. I gotta get rid of Telegram. There we go. You won't hear about us on the radio. Maybe you will. That's me. We don't seek fame. We don't wear uniforms. We're just all shapes and sizes and colors and styles. Most of us work anonymously. We work discreetly behind the scenes in every country and culture around the world. In towns large and small, in mountains and valleys, in farms and villages, on isolated tribes and islands. You can pass us in the street without realizing it. Not if you're in this tribe, you don't. But we have infiltrated every level of society. We stay behind the scenes. We don't care who gets the praise. We just do our job. And sometimes we notice each other on the street and we say a friendly hello and move on. During the day, many of us pretend to have a normal job, but behind this false image, the real work happens at night. Some people call us the conscious army. I call us the Trek tribe. We are slowly creating a new world, one with love and loyalty, my two favorite words. We live with passion and joy. Our commandments come from the central spiritual intelligence department. We drop sweet love bombs when no one is looking. Poems, hugs, music, photos, videos, kind words, smiles, meditations, and prayers, dances and social activities, development workshops, websites, blogs, and acts of innocent kindness. Each of us expresses ourselves in our own way with our own unique talents and gifts. They say, be the change you want to see in the world. This is the platform that fills us. And we know it's the only path to true transformation. We know that we calmly and humbly possess the power of all the oceans combined. Our work is slow and meticulous, like the formation of mountains. This is not visible at first glance, and yet entire tectonic plates are moved in this way. Love is the new religion of the 21st century. And you don't need a great education or exceptional knowledge to understand it. It comes from the intelligence contained in the eternal evolutionary pulse of all human beings. Would it be a spiritual conspiracy or a profound revolution? There is a war of violence and things that seem dark on the surface of today's world. But at the same time, something else is happening calmly and quietly beneath the surface. This is an inner revolution. And some people are called to a higher light. And you know those people that have reached that higher light by the trademark of love and loyalty. Excuse me. It's a quiet revolution from the inside out, starting at the bottom. Sorry. This is a global operation, a spiritual conspiracy. We have cells in every country on the planet. You know, remember when I said, you found me and you began to follow me for a reason? You were called. And I was seeing it like Noah's Ark. When the flood was coming, how did the animals just know to go into the ark? A spiritual sound went out across the earth, and they heard it, and they came, and they entered into the ark. And the way I see it is, I was called a long, long time ago. Sorry. For years, people called me Joan of Arc. They said I was Esther. And then God called me Joseph, and many others began all over the world to say I had a Joseph calling where I would save people and help them with provision. And then one day, God spoke to me and said, there's coming a day of great upheaval in the world, and I will use you, like I did Shirley Temple, to bring comfort to the hearts of the people. And then that was in 2003, and then 2011, a movie producer's wife prophesied that word for word to me, and yet it still waited until now. And when it happened, someone recognized my voice by the spiritual sound that was coming out of it. And they thought it was valuable to share on a very large platform. And when they did, that sound was magnified and it went out. And those who had ears to hear followed the sound, the frequency, to come into an ark of safety during these tumultuous times. People have said I'm like David, King David in the cave of Adullam. He was chosen to be king, but he was rejected by his brothers. He would have been called a conspiracy theorist. They thought he was crazy. So then he had to run for his life because the false king was trying to kill him. So he lived in a cave. And that's kind of what I did. Is I went into a cave. I went into isolation for 12 years because I had been attacked by everyone, almost whoever met me, especially people in high positions all over the world, kicked out of countries by people who slandered me because they didn't like that the people loved me. So in this cave, I waited, and people began to hear about me and come to me because they were rejected. They had nowhere to go. They needed hope. And they heard a spiritual sound coming out of the cave. And they found their way to the cave. And they found love there. They found acceptance, hope, encouragement, a reason to live. And that family began to grow and grow and grow until it became a mighty army. People of very high skill, but yet they had been rejected. And so then they thought they were done. It was over. There's nowhere to go. But David pumped them full of life and truth and opened their eyes to the magnificence of who they were. And they began to believe him. And not only did they survive, they thrived. And they rose up and they became strong and they began helping people. They did great damage to the camp of the enemy. They gave them a black eye. These were many older women, seniors, late in life with health problems whose family have rejected them. And they just thought, it's just little old me. I don't have anyone. I'm alone. I am hurting. My body hurts. I don't have enough money. but they didn't understand who they were. And I want to blow your mind tonight by telling you, you are God's secret weapon against the cabal. You are bringing down the cabal, and I'm going to prove it to you tonight. You're a part of the army of this war. There are the digital soldiers like me. And you say, well, what have I contributed? You are the boots on the ground. And I'm going to prove it to you. You have the scars to prove it. You don't get scars in a war if you're not a soldier. But you have them. How did you get those? You are the boots on the ground, Grandma, Grandpa. We were rejected for a reason. We were chosen by God to be the boots on the ground. I've talked about how I was rejected by my family my whole life, right? They rejected me for a reason. God told me it was because I never belonged to them in the first place. But he told me to tell you that your family is going to wake up to who you are. I divorced my family. I paid a high price, but yours are going to come home. When we cross this finish line, very soon now, and the 12 days of disclosure are piped into every device on the planet, there will be no one who will not get the message and find the truth. And there will be no one who will argue ever again about what the truth is. Everyone will believe. Can you imagine a world of unity where everyone believes the same thing? They will not be able to argue the truth because the monsters who posed as humans, who were in power, will tell the story out of their own mouth with no regrets at their hearing. And it was videotaped. They will bring on person after person after person. And when it's all done, said and done, no one will be able to disbelieve. It's not possible. They will prove it in living color. And every level of truth and disclosure that comes, they will sink lower and lower into humility and grief because they rejected you. And they're finally going to have an awakening where they see you as an avenger, a superhero, a part of the resistance movement. And you got the boots to prove it. You have the scars to prove it. And you have the medals of honor to prove it, Grandma. Do you hear me? This is a fact. God told me. This is the truth. He said, I always use the weak. It's kind of like the law of war. God uses it. He doesn't choose the great and the mighty. He chooses the weak ones to confound the wise ones in their own eyes. Why wouldn't he choose you? He just put some granny boots on you and he stood you up and he says, come on, baby, we can do this. I'll be with you. All you have to do is believe me. That's it. And I got you. And you did. And you came. You were drawn to follow me. And I am number 76. By the way, I do have the plan. I was sent. That's a fact. So why were you joined to me? You're an avenger. The real ones. We are dusty. We are weary. We have, I could just see the dust on the face and then the tear marks from the flood of tears that continues daily. But you are known by God. You are known by the angelic host of heaven. They stand guard over you at night. They watch over you and they marvel at you. That's who you are. And that's why we are together. And that's why we will recognize each other, because we look alike. We are family. True family is not blood, that's earthly. True family are those who recognize you, who you really are. I know you. I know you. And I will recognize you when I see you. And it will be the biggest family reunion the world has ever known. And you know, Jesus went through the same thing. Think about it. He was out there speaking truth to the masses, and really all they really wanted was the update, the loaves and the fishes. Those people fell off a long time ago, or they got addicted to the trek. And he worked night and day. Sometimes he didn't even eat and sleep. And when his family heard about it, they went out to take custody of him, saying, he's out of his mind. Sound familiar? He didn't belong to his family, earthly family. He wasn't from here, and neither are you. He came from God, and he belonged to God, not them. And while he was talking to the crowd, someone told him that his mother and brothers stood outside wanting to speak to him. And he replied to them, who is my mother? And who are my brothers? And he pointed at the ones who believed in him, his disciples, and he said, here are my mother, my brothers, my sisters. For whoever does the will of my Father in heaven, love and loyalty, is my brother, my sister, and my mother. This is how I know you're my family. You could almost call me a drama queen with all the hits that I have taken in front of you, right? And they're pretty hefty. But you stayed. You could have been going like, I can't handle drama. I can't handle this. You know, it's just nonstop with her. I got to have peace. And you could have just taken off. But not only do you love me and tell me all the time, you were loyal. And you poured love letters to me while I was mopping up my own blood. I always get back up in a very short time, no matter what happens to me. Why? Because I process correctly. I don't fight back. I love and I forgive, even though things are not as they appear. Let's just put it that way. But when you go through something on the level that I do, I mean, I was trained for this, right? From day one, I was trained to be able to be shot full of holes and get back up the next day. You might call me Tressy the Terminator. Like you get shot and you keep bouncing back up and you can't go down. You're invincible. But this time I saw it differently. As those love notes poured in, I saw the love plugging the holes and stopping the bleeding. I didn't do it myself. My family, the good Samaritans of the world came around me and shielded me from the word curses, the angry people. I don't care who's right. I never have. I didn't even come out with the things I said the other day publicly. I was just answering a question from a trekker in my own little tribe. And took off. I knew this all along, but I never attacked anybody else for what they believe. They can believe what they want. It's okay. But you understand unconditional love believes the best. And you gave me a chance. Now we have Facebook piping in here. And when you operate in unconditional love and a loyalty that doesn't die, that is fifth dimension. You worried about being able to know whether you're operating on the first or the third or the fifth. There you go. You are in the real world right now. You live there. This is a tribe that lives in the real world because we keep that frequency high. We don't bash people. We don't even retaliate. We don't even defend ourselves. We just stay in the womb of love inside the Father who adores us and believes in us. That's how you overcome. And you know that because you lived it too. All that matters to you in the world is family. And you lost them for 4 years. And yet you carried on. You didn't just shrivel up and die and give up. You could have because of all the challenges of not having the help of your family and the love of your family. But you didn't. You have a lot of scars. Some of them were so deep, they bled for a long time. And maybe they're still even bleeding. But not only did you remain standing, you shot live bullets of love. And even donations. You fought back in every way you could. Kind words, prayers, everything. You are the avengers of the earth, and you are the boots on the ground. And after this war, you will say, I was a soldier in that army. And the white hats know who you are. And this is what they told me. I got 2 messages. One was that I guess maybe I better keep that one for me because that was personal. But the other one was, you have been used in a sting operation so many times you have no idea how many times you were involved in a sting operation. And remember when President Trump said it's all about the children? Every single time I was told we're ready to go. And I couldn't hold it back because I love you and I wanted you to be happy and to be relieved. I wanted to relieve the pain. So I said as much as I could, and I tried to hold back. And then when it was delayed, it's not really delayed so much as it's just slow and thorough and still moving forward. Then you got your hopes up at that time when I would say those things. And then as we waited and it didn't materialize, your hopes crashed. And that happened over and over and over again. That caused wounds. And yet you kept listening. You stayed. You were loyal. Why? Because even though we don't have all the answers and we don't know exactly what is happening, we are family. And every time you got back, decided to believe and hope again, that was the proof that you are a part of the boots on the ground. That's what a soldier does. That's not normal. That's not human. You see what I'm saying? It's proof that you live on a different level. You are the boots on the ground, or you could not have done that. And they also told me that they made sure that I went to that gala event for human trafficking because I thought I knew what was going on and I thought we were further along than we were. And when I heard the statistics that they gave us at that event, I went into a mild state of shock. And people say, I thought the white hats were in control. They are. They are in the driver's seat. They are in control. That they have taken us to a point of no return for the enemy. We have won, but there's cleanup to do. So the way I look at it, we've taken out the first string, second string, and the third string, but the fourth string is the biggest string of all. They are the pedophiles. They are the teachers, the lawyers, the judges, the bankers, the head of your city council, the head of the school, the head of the newspaper. They are the pastors, the youth pastors. They are the police force. They are the FBI. They are the CIA. They are everywhere. Everywhere. They are your neighbors. And what I believe, this is my theory, the military has the steal from the Dominion voting system back to 2014 down to the county level. It's the county level that will go down in one fell swoop, in my opinion, because they're going to arrest them. And we will cut off the head of the monster. And that is what is at stake here. Hundreds of thousands of children and adults, young adults, are taken continually. And I won't tell you all the stats and what happened to these kids, because I don't want you to grieve right now. I want you to celebrate the fact that you had a part. Every time you chose to hang on, it was for the children. If you became bitter and angry and walked away, it would have proved that you are not a part of us and that you are not in the fifth dimension. The fifth dimension can see the truth. You see the truth. It's all about the children. They said we only have one chance at this and we have to get it right. It has to be thorough. So every time they did a sting operation and we were wounded in our hearts, they took down hundreds of thousands of monsters, child-killing monsters, because you endured it. You were used as a soldier. That's not a negative. That is nothing to be angry and bitter about. That is a thing to be proud of. Sure, not easy. I hate it. Because you are the ones I can see. The others are invisible, and it's harder to keep them in your mind, even though I have a plan that I want to do in the near future. I want to do something. I can't accept it anymore now that I know. But you have helped the cause just by not giving up. That is a sign of special ops, not normal. You are the offspring of God. That's why I went as Diana, Prince of the Amazons. That was my character, because I wanted to do something that gave a visual of who we really are. We have been called and chosen. We answered the call, and we have fallen on the battlefield over and over and gotten back up, right? You get back up and you get back up. It's okay to cry, and it's okay to say why. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not minimizing the pain at all. We belong to God. We are part of His family. He was pregnant with you before your mother was. And so we recognized each other right off, because we all came out of the same womb of the Father. I know you. I was just thinking, about when we meet for the first time, but the thing is that isn't reality, because we've already met. We met in the spirit, in the fifth dimension, where love and loyalty are the law we live by. Isn't that amazing that you could go from having no family at all, 0, to having over 10,000? Wow. Only God could accomplish that. And we will never forget each other. We can't. We are bonded at the heart. Remember when? We have a history together, and we will always be able to say, remember when, right? And it's not just that we're waiting for something. It's that this war has been so confusing. You don't know who's who. You don't know what the plan is. We'll trust the plan if you just tell us what it is, right? Oh my gosh. This never means this because this is going to happen in this date. Oh, watch for this date because this is it. And then that date goes by and oh, it's a new date now. And we're going, ugh. Right? Why do so many of you say, when Tressy talks, I feel like she's talking right to me, like we've been best friends forever? I see you, and I know you, and we found the cave together. You know, I watched a movie, gosh, probably 30 years ago. That movie impacted my life so greatly. I tried to find it for years and I could not find it. And it was about the war and the French resistance. It was a group of young people that got together and they would hide out in the woods by the water and they would save Jews. And they had a whole system of how they did it. And they would bring that person that was going to be taken to the camps. And those young people would get him in a boat and take him across the water. And that's what they did during the war. And I was like, I want to be like that. I would have been like that. I would have been a part of the resistance. See, God was preparing me way back then. And guess what? Those were the weak, right? They were the young people. They weren't trained. They're like you on the other end. Only this is a whole lot more miraculous than what they did. That's why we're going to have our own movie. People will never forget it. It will be incredible. Incroyable. God is so proud of you. He says, well done. I still say it's any day because I know where they're at. I know what the schedule is. But I'm not going to be angry with them for being thorough for the sake of the children. And there are all kinds of other things that it's so complex on so many levels, but there is no hindrance and there's no delay. But they do want me to keep my mouth shut. And for those of you who cry out and say, Tressy, can you just tell them how much we're hurting? I want you to know, I tell them every single time I talk to them. And so does every other group leader. My advisor has about 400 group leaders. He gets calls all day long, hundreds of calls. And every single group leader says, help us. Our people are dying. Our people are going to lose their homes. They're about to be evicted. And they tell them all these stories. And he says, We know. We know. We're working on it as hard as we can. And they actually stopped everything and rerouted everything based on those cries. They changed the schedule to see if they could push it forward quicker. And they found a way. And now it shouldn't drag on anymore. It is not far off. I will not believe it. I will continue to believe the best. But I am honored. Like Charlie Ward says, they have used him for sting operations, and he said, I'm proud of it, because that means I contributed. I had a part to play to arrest the murderers. I'll recover in the end, and so will you. And we will always know that we did it together. We linked arms, and we helped the weak ones in our group from falling through the cracks before the happy day. And we will continue to do so until that day comes. I love you. We're not going to have a Q&A tonight, but you are welcome to come to the party in the chat. All right? Just come and love on each other. Bless one another. Bliss one another. All right? I love you. And I'm so glad you're in my life. I can't wait to see you and hug your neck. All righty. Good night, everybody. We'll see you Wednesday, and we'll be talking about how to give you some relief for your physical issues. All right. Good night.